It was a rainy Friday night in New York, the kind of evening that made the city look both beautiful and lonely at once. Claire Anderson, a young single mother and the CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech companies, sat in the corner of a cozy cafe. She wasn't there for a business deal this time. She was there for something she never thought she'd try: a blind date. Her friends had insisted she give love another chance. "You work too much, Claire. Your son needs to see you happy," they had told her. So, reluctantly, she agreed. But when the cafe door opened, instead of the polished businessman she imagined, in walked a man in a faded jacket, his shoes wet from the rain. He carried himself humbly, almost nervously, and walked straight to her table. "I'm Daniel," he said softly, his eyes warm but unsure. Claire blinked. This must be a mistake. He didn't look like the wealthy entrepreneur she had pictured. His rough hands and modest clothes told a different story. Still, something in his tone stopped her from walking away. They ordered coffee and Daniel began to talk, not about money, power, or success, but about life. He shared how he worked nights as a janitor at a university, cleaning empty halls so he could pay for his younger sister's medical bills. He spoke with pride, not shame. His words carried kindness, humility, and a depth Claire hadn't felt in years. For the first time in a long while, she laughed, not the polite kind of laugh she gave at networking events, but a genuine one. Daniel didn't care about her title. He looked at her as a person, not a CEO. But the night took an unexpected turn. Just as they were leaving the cafe, Claire's phone buzzed. Her son's nanny was panicked. The little boy had a severe asthma attack. Without hesitation, Daniel offered to drive them to the hospital in his old beat-up car. He didn't ask questions, didn't hesitate, he just acted. At the hospital, while doctors rushed to stabilize her son, Claire broke down in the waiting area. She was always strong, always in control, but now she was just a mother terrified of losing her child. Daniel sat beside her quietly, then gently said, "You don't have to be strong all the time. Sometimes it's okay to lean on someone." That moment hit her harder than any boardroom victory ever had. When the doctors finally came out and assured her that her son was safe, tears of relief streamed down her face. She turned to Daniel, realizing something profound. This man, who had so little in terms of wealth, had given her the one thing she craved the most: genuine care, without expecting anything in return. Over the following weeks, Daniel became more than just a blind date. He became her son's hero, her quiet strength, and the man who reminded her that love isn't measured in status or bank accounts, but in selfless acts of kindness. Claire had built an empire, but in Daniel, she discovered something even greater: true love built not on appearances or wealth, but on humanity. And as she watched Daniel playing with her son in the park one sunny afternoon, she thought to herself, sometimes, life's greatest blessings come disguised in the most unexpected ways. Because love, real love, doesn't care about titles. It only cares about hearts. A millionaire CEO used to boardrooms, stock charts, and fast cars, now sitting on a hospital bench with a janitor who drove her in his rusty old car. Life has a strange way of teaching us what truly matters. Claire couldn't stop thinking about that night. It wasn't just Daniel's kindness at the cafe. It wasn't just his willingness to help her son. It was the way he stayed. Even after the crisis was over, even after the fear had passed, he didn't just disappear. He stayed, quietly, humbly. The next morning, Claire expected him to vanish from her life. After all, she was a millionaire CEO and he was a janitor. Two worlds too far apart. But to her surprise, Daniel called, not to ask her out, not to impress her, just to check on her son. That small act touched her heart more deeply than she could explain. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, a bond began to grow. Daniel would stop by sometimes after work, still wearing his janitor uniform, carrying little things that made her son smile, like a toy car he found at a thrift shop or a comic book he picked up at a street corner. Her son, who was usually shy with strangers, began to laugh again, and Claire began to laugh too. One evening, as they all sat on the floor playing board games, her son suddenly blurted out, "Mom, I like Daniel. Can he stay with us forever?" The room went silent. Claire's heart raced, and Daniel, he just smiled softly and said, "That's up to your mom, buddy." That night, when her son was asleep, Claire looked at Daniel with tears in her eyes. "You know," she whispered, "I've met men with millions in their bank accounts, but none of them gave me the peace I feel when I'm around you." Daniel hesitated, then said something she would never forget. "Claire, I may not have much to give, But whatever I do have, my time, my heart, my loyalty, it's yours if you'll accept it. And that was the moment. The moment Claire realized true love doesn't wear expensive suits. True love doesn't show up in luxury cars. True love shows up when you need it the most, with nothing to offer but everything that matters. Months later, on a bright spring morning, Claire stood hand in hand with Daniel at a small family gathering. Not a glamorous wedding, not a lavish party. Just a circle of people who mattered, her son smiling the brightest of them all. She had spent years chasing success, thinking happiness was something she had to build alone. But in Daniel, the janitor who showed up on a rainy night, she discovered something greater than success. She discovered a partner, a friend, and a love that no amount of money could ever buy.